Hey guys, in the 8th part of this Harnessing AI to Become a DevOps Pro series, I will learn about security. This means that I will be learning about best practices for securing your applications and infrastructure. I'm not really sure what the content here is going to be about, so I will ask Clio for some guidance and we'll take it from there. Can you teach me the basics of security for DevOps? Let's first begin with a short explanation of what this should cover. Okay, so certainly, security in DevOps, often referred to as DevSecOps, integrates security practices within the DevOps process. The goal is to ensure security is a shared responsibility throughout the entire lifecycle of an application, from development to deployment and beyond. Here's a brief overview of what DevSecOps is all about or should cover. So first is security culture. Foster a culture where security is everyone's responsibility, not just the security team. This involves training and awareness for all team members. Secure coding practices. Number 2, implementing coding standards and practices that minimize vulnerabilities. This includes input validation, error handling, and secure data storage. Number 3, automated security testing. Integrate security testing into the CI/CD pipeline. We have already worked a little bit with pipeline or CI/CD earlier in this series. This includes static code analysis, dynamic testing, and vulnerability scanning. 4, configuration management. Ensure that the infrastructure and application configurations are secure and consistent across environments. So I guess that this means that you should have the same environment locally, staging and production. Here are a few tools that we can read more about if we want to do that. Access control. Implement strict access controls and identity management. Use principles like least privilege and role-based access control. 6, monitoring and logging. This is also a step that we have covered in this series, but it means that we should monitor systems for suspicious activity and maintain logs for auditing and incident response. Number 7, incident response. Have a plan in place for responding to security incidents, including communication strategies and recovery procedures. 8, compliance and governance. Ensure that your processes and systems comply with relevant regulations and standards, such as GDPR, HIPAA, and PCI DSS. Number 9, patch management. Regularly update and patch software and system to protect against known vulnerabilities. Last but not least, 10, container and cloud security. Implement security measures specific to containerized and cloud environments, such as image scanning and network segmentation. So by integrating these practices into the DevOps workflow, organizations can enhance their security posture while maintaining the agility and speed that DevOps provides. Great. So this was a lot of new information and it almost sounds like a new topic, to be honest. Anyways, since this is something that covers everything from code reviews to penetration testing and monitoring, it has the potential to become a very comprehensive topic. I think I will use Clio to write a little bit longer article that can cover these 10 key areas in a little bit more detail. So this is something that AI or Clio is very good at. Can you write me an article that covers these 10 key areas in a little bit more detail? So now we can get some more information about each of these. So I'm not going to bore you by reading up all of these, but as you can see, this is a very good way that we can use AI to get more information about things that we need to know more about, or just to summarize what we already know, but we want to just know a little bit more. So here you can see that, for example, for the security culture, we have a lot more information than just these few words up here. So I think this is a great way to learn, and if I wanted to learn more, for example, about incident response, I could ask Clio to provide, for example, a separate article just for this key area, or I can ask her to recommend me a video on YouTube that I can watch. So now that I know a little bit more details about each of these 10 key areas, it makes it much easier for me to know what I don't know and a little bit more about what I can read more about if I wanted to do that. So let's say that I wanted to learn a little bit more about securing coding practices. Can you come up with some hands-on task for the secure coding practices part? Let's see what she has to say for this. Okay, so now I got a little bit more information on just securing coding practices. For example, there's a task that I can go through to learn more about input validation. I can learn more about error handling and logging, secure data storage, code review, static code analysis, etc. Can you write a simple Flask app where I can do a simple code review on, just so that I can try to see someone else's code and see if I can find any flaws here? Okay, so if I scroll up, we can begin by this imports. That's nothing to see here, nothing wrong. This should probably be some sort of environmental variable, so you should not store it directly in a script like this. That is not good. Next one, we have the initialized database, create table if not exists. I'm not the best one at SQL, but I guess that here we should be very careful about SQL injections, not that anything is actually injected here, so I think that this function is okay. Next we have the register function. Okay, so immediately let's see something wrong here. If this is a post request, that means that the form is submitted, but the problem here is that we are just reading this directly from the form, where we should do some validation on this and sanitize the data to make sure that we are not getting any data into the database that we don't want there. You can see that we are hashing it, but still the information that I put in here, I just directly input into the database here. So here users could exploit SQL injections. And the same goes for the login. The dashboard, if username in session, session username, welcome. Yeah, so we just set the session to be a username. I'm not very familiar with Flask, but I guess there are some sort of authentication package that we could use instead. So as you review this code, consider the following questions. Password storage, yeah, I pointed that out. SQL injection. There might be a security issue with the session storage. Is there actually a security issue with the session storage? Let's learn a little bit about this. Yeah, as you can see here, the app secret key is used to sign the session cookie. So that's what we should have in an environmental variable, so it's not easy for other people to use. And this is typically also a file that we have on Git. So it would not be smart to push it out to Git. And then we have the data. Avoid storing sensitive information directly in the session. The session should only certain non-sensitive and as a user ID, etc. Okay, so there's a few more things in the code that I did not know more about, but I'm not an expert on Flask, so there's probably a lot of other things I could learn there. Okay, so let's say that I have learned a little bit here now, and I want to learn even more about DevOps securities. Can you recommend me a book about DevOps security? So even though she can provide me a lot of information and I can just keep asking her questions, I like to read a physical book because that's a very good way to learn, and it makes me better because I can't just copy from a physical book. So here's a highly recommended book, DevSecOps, a leader's guide to producing secure software without compromising flow, feedback, and continuous improvement. Great. Sounds like a good book to read about the subject. Okay, so today I have read and learned a little bit more about the basics of security when it comes to DevOps. I found this topic a little bit hard, and the topic is very comprehensive. We have learned a little bit about this topic previously when we did monitoring and logging, and we have also learned about CI/CD, which could be used in security as well to automatically detect vulnerabilities, etc. This was the last part of this series and my journey to become a DevOps. I would not exactly call me a pro, but I have learned a lot, and I've learned a lot more about what I need to learn more about as well. Some of the things I have learned in this series is things that I'm really glad I learned. For example, I learned a lot more about Docker, and now I feel much more comfortable using this from now on. I hope you enjoyed this series, and if you did, please hit like below and feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions. See you in the next video.